Alright, that should be good then. I have learned by looking back at my own videos to not hold the mic too close. So that should be good because I'm watching the bar go up and down. But welcome. I don't know who's watching, but welcome in any case. Today's stream is, well, there have been so far about writing, but I kind of finished my first draft the other day, earlier this week, of my novel, which is the first time I've done that. And this stream is going to be about editing. There are a few processes I'm going to go through for my editing. Probably should write that like on the layout, but that's okay, I can just talk about it. So I have a notebook, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every chapter that I have so far. I'm probably not going to read it too deeply because I'm going to do another edit later on, but I'm going to go through and like skim over it to see, like, to remember what it was about, and then write notes about each chapter to see what I want to change plot wise or like structure wise for it, because there are a few plot points that I am aware of that need changing, that I've retconned into like the rest of the book, but I haven't into the start of the book where it actually happens. So that's today's task, going through each chapter and then writing down, you know, cat's being a bit noisy, writing down what I need to do for each chapter. Then after that, I will actually go through each and apply those changes, and then the next draft after that is going to be description and scene setting, doing it properly, and then after that it's going to be the final edits for grammar and punctuation. Then it will be ready to go to beta readers, and then from there it would go to final edits or revisions, which is good. So yeah, just gonna get started on that one. Alright, oh, okay, my cat's on the table. Hello, Kitty. Tell me how it ends. Chapter notes. It's a bit like analysing my own book, which is funny because I finished high school and now I don't have to do it anymore in my university classes, but now here I am analysing my own book. We'll start with chapter Chapter 1. Might actually upload this to YouTube as well, just because it's good for productivity. I'm not sure if you know about this, but there's this like, I know it's prevalent with like people with ADHD for this body double thing. Like you need someone else in the room to be able to get productive and do things. And like I know some people, like students, do that. They need someone else studying with them to actually get stuff done. So I'm trying to apply the same concept here with a body double, like stream sort of thing, where if someone else is here and like writing, then maybe that works as a way to help you get writing as well. Well, technically I'm not writing anymore, I'm editing or revising, but hopefully the same concept will apply because I'm trying to be productive and actually go through my chapters. So I have a few notes here in my notes section of Scrivener that I need to write down. So one of them is about her motivation of finding someone like her. And the idea of finding someone like her needs to be planted in this chapter. Because I'm aware that her motivation is much more talked about later on in the book, but I think it's a good idea to plant it at the start to actually demonstrate what her motivation is within the first chapter. Alongside, you know, the one I'm trying to display in the first chapter really is her business likeness and how she's in it for the money and stuff, but not because of herself, but because of her family values. But I also want to demonstrate her personal values of wanting to meet someone like her. So the idea of finding someone like her needs to be planted in this first chapter so it can be referred to throughout the book. She also gets a pouch of money in this chapter. So I'm gonna make it so Mist, which is the character who gives it to her, reveals the monetary value of the pouch, which is probably going to be a few $100s if we like make it real life money, because I don't really have a fantasy currency. But the fact that he reveals how much the money's worth is going to be important because it's going to be used in the third chapter, I believe, or maybe the fourth. Another note I have is that Iris has multiple decks because she is a tarot reader, and I want to demonstrate her passion for tarot reading by saying that she has multiple decks for different intentions. It'd also be a good idea to show her grounding practice, because this is prevalent in Act 2, grounding practice before reading. Because she's a tarot reader, so before reading. And that's basically it for Chapter 1, because Chapter 1 has been pretty edited. It's my most edited chapter and the one that has gotten the most feedback. I did know to remove the special coin, but I don't want to do that anymore. Because it's more of a symbol of her. Oh my god, hi Erin. I hope you also had an amazing Christmas and Happy New Year as well. I don't know if you were here when I was explaining what I was doing today, but basically I'm editing. But my first phase of editing is going through each chapter and writing down the notes of what I need to change. Did you already have finals? Because I'm not sure how it works on the other side of the world, but did you already have those exams? And I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year as well. nice. It sounds like a good end of the year, and you know, I'm sure you did well. Like if you don't say that you like, I feel like if you say you did okay, it means you did well. But if you say I don't think I did well, then that'd be worse. But you didn't say that, so I think you should be good. Are you going to be working on your writing anytime soon, or have you been working on your writing? That's good then. I took a bit of a break from writing as well because there was a lot of stuff going on for New Year's and Christmas, and since I finished my first draft of my novel, it's good practice to just let it rest for a while before you get to editing. So I've let it rest for less than a week. Usually people recommend like 2 weeks, but I wanted to start on the 1st of the year so then I could actually keep track of what my progress is. And the first and second chapter are the easiest for me to go through because those are the ones that people have read the most and have been edited. So they're basically free edits. I do need to edit them still for these dot points I'm writing down. Like for chapter 2, I'm changing it so Iris only has a single mother instead of 2 parents because I found it hard to write in 2 parents for her. Because her parents are supposed to be her boss for work and a big influence on like why she stays. But I decided I found myself only writing one, like her mother only every time, so I thought I'll just make it so she has one mother. And I know during the meeting she has with her family, she gets distracted, and that gets her in trouble, which leads to something else. But I wasn't very satisfied with how I wrote that, so I'm making the reason why connected to the first chapter where she was thinking about something that happened, which makes it easier. So chapter. Do you have any plans on what you want to do next with your writing when you get back to it? Chapter 3. Because you were the one who asked about ideas for thinking about the origin of a world. I remember that. Like things similar to the Big Bang Theory, and I suggested looking into religions and stuff. Because, I don't know. I feel like that's the easiest place to look. People's real life lore that they refer to with their religions. Is this the same world where you had like a lot of main characters, like 14 main characters? That sounds fun, especially if it's like characters that you made yourself. Because I have a project like that I work on for fun with my partner. That's based on like the moderators in my server, but for now I don't work on that because I'm working on my book. Do you want to tell me more about it? Because yeah, I always like stories like that where you have a bunch of people or like your friends and you make characters and make a world out of it. Like, is it fantasy or what's the idea for what they do? All these starting chapters are easy edits because they're all very minor ones because the start is pretty good. Well, except for the last chapter of Act 1. I know there's like 1 or 2 chapters in this book that need to be entirely rewritten and like an extra chapter added. Which is a bit of a pain, but it's good that most of the stuff I can actually use. Very fantasy themed because we first decided on making a world building for that. Good fun time. So was it like you were planning to make... You first wanted to do like a D&D campaign, but now you're doing it for your characters to make a story? Is that the idea, or...? That's pretty cool though. I am not a stranger to changing formats of writing, because another story I have that's in the same universe as this one originally started as a comic because I really wanted to draw a comic. But that was a few years ago and I did not know how to draw very well, so I gave up on the idea and then got into writing, which is a very good thing because now I'm here. And, you know, let's dive into trying, like, it meant I didn't focus so much on drawing, but I think I definitely prefer it more that I chose to get really into writing, because I still can draw, like I still practiced it, but I didn't. It just means that writing is much more my passion instead of drawing now. I think it's a good thing because I think it's easier to get burnt out with drawing than writing. you know much about the character you made for yourself? Drawing's fun too, though. That's cool. That means your friends can probably like draw your characters out. Oh, I have 3 viewers now. That's 2 more than 1. Because I know how to count. But welcome. This time, I usually stream about writing. Or like, I am streaming about writing, but I stream about writing my novel. Although, it's a bit different now considering I finished drafting my novel, so now I'm doing something different. I have this notebook that I should probably actually turn down my brightness because I realized that with Scrivener open super bright and it like shines on my face. I have this notebook that I'm writing like notes about each chapter basically and seeing what I need to edit, and then I'm gonna go through and edit it because I don't know. This is my first time actually editing a whole book of my own. I've edited someone else's book before in my Words-like server, but I'm learning the process of how I'm gonna do it. So we'll just see how that goes. Also, Aaron, I know you've been watching The Witcher. How's that going? I'm not sure if it's a finished series or not, if it's ongoing, so I can't tell if like I can't say have you finished it or are you up to date, because I don't watch it myself, so I'm not sure how that's going, but I know you do watch it. Also, I'm very glad that past me put a few notes here to see what I needed to change. That's very good. I've heard it's really popular. Like a lot of people I know, a lot of people I know like watch it. Like I know my boyfriend's dad. He was watching like the animated one the other day. I don't really like the animated one because I think the sound design is not very good. Like not high quality. Like it's a bit quiet at times, or it's a bit off timing and stuff. But like there's an animated one, like a live action one, right? Is that how it is? Because I'm a bit confused by it. But I have heard of it around, so I feel like if it's that popular, it should have a 3rd season. Yeah. You see, I'm going through my list and I wrote a point in chapter 4. That means I need to cross out an idea I had in chapter 1 already. So I'm editing my editing notes. I think that's a bit ironic, but at least I'm making my way through it. It's really cool to have a first draft because I actually know what happens. I actually know what happens in the actual book, which is cool because then I know how to plan things out. Let's see. Okay, in this chapter she'd probably mention her goal, which is she needs a certain amount of money because her mum needs her to get some money to make up for the losses she's had in her business. Because it's a fact in her family business that her tarot reading isn't as profitable as her sibling stuff, and her mum shouts at her for that. And one of the reasons why she goes on this adventure with a random stranger that can break off doorknobs and scale walls. Mentions money. Does Marin know where the money is? Yes, he does. Except he wouldn't take it out of the thing because she already did, unless she stuffs it back in. Yeah. She stuffs the money back in. Marin. Funnily enough, a lot of my advice when people have issues with their writing is outline. Like, not because you should outline everything and know everything, but the fact that outlining gives structure. So I'm not a huge planner, but I do think outlining is a valuable tool in any case. For example, right now, I'm doing a form of outlining about like writing down events that I want to add and like actually running out how it'll go. Like, for example, Marion in the first draft, he breaks into the boss's office at the start of the chapter and runs away to Iris's room. But I'm going to change it so Iris is counting money in her room before she hears like someone outside her door. She's going to stuff the money into her bookshelf compartment thing that she didn't have in the first draft, but I'm adding because it hints to something at the end of the book. Marion breaks off the doorknob because he also does that in the office in the first draft. Gonna enter the room, gonna be like to Iris, I know I just broke into your room and I shouldn't be here, but I need your help. She's gonna explain her thing about how she needs some money because her mum's upset at her for not having enough money for the business. And the same conversation is gonna happen here. Marion's gonna say, you need to help me rescue my friends. Which does work. Chapter 5. Okay. Conversation. So we'll go chapter 5. Chapter 5 out of 22. Let's write some notes down. Okay, I remember what happens here. So here we have to show Iris's motivation more clearly. Because a character's motivation at the start of the book is very important because you need to show that the character has agency. And if you don't have if you don't show the character as agency, then it's kind of boring to watch. It's like, why can't I just watch another character's point of view because they're actually doing things? You don't want a character who only reacts because then that's kind of boring. It's okay to have rest periods where she actually does listen to other people and do what they say because, like, that can depend on the character. For example, Iris, she's never been outside. This book's kind of like Tangled, where Rapunzel hasn't been outside. She's been in a tower for 18 years of her life. Similarly with Iris, she's been home for 18 years of her life because she's trapped in this family business destined to forever work. And so there's a lot of things she doesn't know. She doesn't have a lot of street smarts, which means she's gonna have to rely on Marin a lot for like sticky situations. So she has agency in that she has motivations for why she leaves, but she will still demonstrate a lack of agency in some situations when, she can't because that's not part of her character. And that's an issue to look out for when you write a book. You need to know what your character knows and when they can apply this knowledge, so then they're not a Mary Sue and just can do everything. But also not the opposite and doing nothing because they just get pushed around everywhere. So I'm making sure I fix that by mentioning in this chapter and the previous chapter, and hinting in those first few chapters that she actually has a reason why. And I know the reason, and she does talk about it later in the book, but I retconned that, so I need to put it in the actual book so then it makes sense. And I also did a pretty bad job in the rest of this chapter because it's kind of a cop-out of what should actually happen, which is that Marin, if I can spell Marin correctly, Marin and Iris have a clever plan to leave, and this time she doesn't want to tell her family. Because just having that in the original draft just introduced the unnecessary thing that Marin did, and I think because Iris needs to earn the money, but she's doing it in an unconventional way. She thinks it's okay because she's going to help the business, but she knows it's wrong, so she's not going to tell anyone. Yeah, tell her family. Demonstrates, which also is one of the first interactions that will actually show their synergy and friendship, hopefully. That's the plan. So that's only 2 notes for chapter 5. Cool. Now I will go on to Act 2, time to write some notes, which I do have a lot of notes I see that I've written while I was drafting. Oops. Let's go. New page. I saw an alert. I heard an alert. Scarlet. Hi Scarlet, thank you for following. I haven't actually heard the alert sound live before because I did a last stream and my friend followed, right? But she followed after my stream ended, so I didn't hear the follow alert, which was unfortunate, but now I got to hear it because you subscribed or followed, so thank you. I'll do chapter 6. If you didn't catch what I'm doing, I'm basically editing, but editing in a way where I'm writing notes of I just saw your message in the Discord server. I was about to have a fit because they made me download the app, make an account, and didn't support landscape. Yeah, but they do support landscape. I'd be very concerned if Twitch TV did not have landscape mode because it's a very popular application. Glad you found it though. But yeah, I'm just editing by writing notes about each of my chapters about what I need to change, and then I'm going to go through my chapters and actually make those changes. And my cat's on the table. Here's the kitty. So this one has quite a few points to write down. Because one of the things I didn't really focus too much on was the combination of witchcraft and fantasy magic that I want to have. So there's a few things I need to add, like Iris experiences. I didn't spell experiences right. Cats. Yes, it is cats. She is here. She wants my attention. Hello, stream. Wave at the stream. Okay. Iris experiences. Oh my god. Haniel, stop. Green witchcraft. Because she visits a shop of a young lady who does green witchcraft and has a bunch of plants everywhere. Which is also her first exposure to green / nature spirits. Which are kind of the equivalent of fairies in this world, except they're like orbs of light that do things. Like nature spirits, as the name suggests, they would help with nature. They'd probably like they don't have real forms that are perceived by humans, but they're balls of light, and like humans see them as balls of light, or like sentient kami, the species of the world. So that'll be one of her first introductions to witchcraft. Yeah, as a law of the spirits are revealed. Law of the... My cat keeps nudging my hand as I'm trying to write. Which is a bit inconvenient, Haniel. I'm trying to write in my notebook. But yeah, what are you working on today, Scarlet? What are you writing? Commenting. Cleanse. So in this chapter I need to add part of a scene and some extra dialogue. Because it makes sense, like, if there's like this whole deportation plot point of like the magical people that the queen demanded because the queen was going to get assassinated. So it makes sense for people to talk about it and for Iris to be curious about it with outside people, so it makes sense they would have this conversation about it. And also help with the more showing, not telling of the law around how Senti treat Kami. And to sum it up to you guys, basically the Kami are the magical people, and they are generally seen or regarded as superior because they have much more of an ability. But that also means people, the Senti or like the humans, are not afraid to be mean to the magical people. But they did live together until this recent deportation demand from the queen, because the queen's racist is the simplest way to put it. Or her family is. She grew up on the race, like on that racist mindset, which is why she's doing this thing. Another good thing about having the whole story written out is that you can add certain conversations or plot points at the start of the book that will make the end, or like I can put things at the start of Act 2 that will make Act 3 more impactful for like the things that happen, which is good. That's what editing is all about, I suppose. Going back through your work and tweaking it and adjusting it. Because originally when I was writing this, it's pretty weak. Like, I did a pretty weak job on what I wrote in the conversations they had. It's okay. It's not satisfying or like impactful. So these things that I'm planning to add will make it more worth it. The chapter more valuable. Alright. In this chapter they are at a cafe. Then they meet a crew of pirate people, but they don't know it's pirates, and they go on a ship because they need to go overseas. So chapter 7. The beginning of the pirate arc, as I call it. So Eris and Marin get to know each other more. Marin asks about her daily life. So here we get more insight into her day-to-day life and how it's so boring and bland, and she doesn't do very much at all. She thinks it's nice because she likes tarot a lot, so her tarot reading keeps her there, but yeah. There's an extra scene as well to show more of the Kami discrimination and arrests happen right in front of them. Happened in the middle of lunch. I'll just do C script notes for more, because I wrote a long paragraph. I'm not going to write all of it. C script notes for more. Let's see. Here's one thing I do like is the pirates, they introduce themselves with pronouns, because I wanted to add that somewhere. Mist also does that later on in the book when he reappears. So in the book I have someone who goes by they, he, she, her, all the pronouns, him, she, and no pronouns. Which doesn't cover all the combinations, but it covers quite a bit of them. That's not that one. Okay, this is another one where like a whole chapter needs to be added. Because oh no, the next chapter is where the whole chapter needs to be added. So chapter 8. Iris reads more on witchcraft. Ocean magic. She's shown ocean magic / witchcraft and water spirit lore by the pirates. I'll need to know that spirits more of a Kami thing. Wow, magic with them is a witchcraft thing. This will unfortunately show that the absence of Kami basically destroy water spirits, which just made me think of another plot point to add, because it's discovered in the ship that at the bottom they keep some Kami. which is not good because that's slavery, and slavery bad if you didn't know. This is when she meets the ship's chef. She does a reading for the chef, and she she doesn't know this in her head, but the cards tell her, and like she has psychic abilities, that the chef has a wife and 2 kids waiting at home. And she says like he wants to know how they are because he can't know, like they don't have phones in this time. So she tells him, oh, you have a wife and 2 kids, and she shouldn't have known that. So that's why he trusts her to say that they're okay at home. Your wife's doing this, your kids are doing this, like your son's growing up to be a good, helpful young man. Well, the mother, she's holding up very well on her own. And I also really wanted to have that that archetype of like really buff, strong man who really loves his wife and kids, because I think it's a little sweet to have that kind of trope in the story, or like in any story really. Those characters are just sweet to have. I do have to change the end of this chapter though. This is chapter 9. The majority of chapter 9 is pretty good actually. I just need to change the end, because I don't want Marin to be being dragged away, because I'm making that later in the book. I'm making it so Marin needs Iris's urgent help with something. Cool. Onwards we go to chapter 10. Chapter 10. This is the last chapter of the pirate arc. 1, 2, so there's 1, 2, 3. So it's about 3 right now, but I think it's going to extend to 4 chapters for the pirate arc, because this entire chapter is going to happen later. So chapter 10, I need to insert a chapter. In this chapter they discover together, because originally I only made Marin did it, but then I didn't see a point of making Marin and Iris separated like that when I need more bonding time between them and more interaction, because what's the point of showing them as good friends if they're not even going to spend time together in like the first half of the book. So they discover some Kami tied up at the bottom of the ship. Which means another chapter would be added, and then I would have to change the 10 of Wands to a different name and make 10 of Wands the previous thing. Because I named all my chapters based on tarot cards, which is a fun activity, but it just means I have to shift a bunch of the numbers because I'm adding a chapter in the middle of the book. They get discovered. Iris is told to hide for a while. And then that's when it comes in where she hurries up the ladder. And then go chapter 11. Which I'm going to put in brackets 10 because it's actually chapter 10 in my first draft. This explains... Oh, well, I need to know actually. The ocean magic water spirits, they help the pirates. Because they need to have a motivation. They help the pirates in some way. They explain that they keep the Kami. They keep the Kami on the ship. As if they are objects, as if they are charms to help the spirits stay around, so the spirits stay around and so they can help the pirates do whatever, which I need to work out when I'm rewriting some stuff. I think they kept Cammy on the ship to keep the spirits around, which is a pretty dumb solution. But they do it because that's all they can think of. Let's tie up some Cammy on the bottom of the ship because what else are we gonna do? Be friends with them? Yes, exactly. That's what you're gonna do. But they don't know that yet. I'm gonna need to rewrite the conversation. In this book, that's gonna be written. I'm gonna make it. No, to make the stakes higher, because I need to feel why it's dangerous and why there are stakes. Although most of this chapter is really good as well, to just keep as it is. Story-wise, not editing-wise, but I'm actually quite happy because I know a lot of the rest of this book in the second half is actually well written and drafted because I actually planned it out properly, whereas the first half of the book I was a bit weak on planning. Oh, I do know what I need to change in a few chapters after this one. But let's keep writing. Chapter 12, in brackets 11. Ringing bells woke Iris up on the day of their arrival at the Excava docks. As it had been a few days at sea, she was now slightly better at waking up in her temporary bed and not wondering where she was. She had also gotten used to the smells in and around the ship, as well as waking up to Marin coming back from his morning walk around the ship, or to see them stretching in the middle of the room. Marin was a morning person, it seemed. Do you ever have that moment where you actually read back on your work and you're actually like pretty impressed by what you wrote? Because it's a good feeling when you do feel that way. chapter 13, which is actually 12. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not a bad thing if it's not a priority. As long as you are happy with your handwriting and using your phone, then that's good. In this chapter, I also need to work on my foreshadowing to make something not very obvious when I want to make a plot twist for it a couple chapters later. Sort of comparing. Okay, just for a note about logic, because logically my character would compare something she's working out to the person that she knows is a Kami, rather than comparing notes about Kami to her friend that she knows is a Senti. Actually isn't a Senti, but that's what she thinks. I'm also looking at my handwriting on both these pages, and my handwriting is much nicer on the first page. I'm only on the third page of this small A5 notebook and my writing's already messy. Oh no. At least I can read it. This is all good dialogue. My cat's meowing at the door, so I'm gonna let her out because she's a meowy catto. Right, I've let the catto out. Time to sit down. Chapter 14, also known as 13, because this is chapter 13 in my first draft. It's called The Moon because it's about illusions and stuff that she thinks is not there, being deceived. That's not the right word. Decepted is not the right word to use. She's being deceived. Also, make sure you guys stay hydrated because it's hot here, which is why I'm drinking water so much, but still good to drink water. Let's see. So here I need to improve the emotional escalation, because if I don't have it clear in my head, I'm not very good at emotional escalation. Some scenes I have it down really well. This one I didn't imagine beforehand or really well, so it's written pretty weakly. So I need to improve the emotional escalation. To do this, I'm gonna show Iris being confused. Which causes her to feel uncertain. Because the feeling of confusion, from my personal experience, confusion and uncertainty can lead to being frustrated, which is what I want her to end up being. So she ends up being frustrated where she gets overwhelmed by her feelings. Which causes her to break down and be upset, which is what I originally wrote, but I didn't write very well because I just didn't. And also pasted this quote in, I think Cypress said it in the server. Our flaws, especially the mistakes we make about the human world and how to live successfully in it, are simply not ideas about this, and that which we can identify easily and choose to shrug off. Our flaws form part of our perception, our experiences of reality. This makes them largely invisible to us. And I remember I posted this quote here because I wanted to remind myself that people can't just solve things straight away because they don't just see their flaws, because flaws usually are invisible to you. You can't tell that you're wrong because you hold your own values. And I need to make sure my character isn't a Mary Sue where she just solves everything just cause. She needs to understand that I need to make it written so she doesn't automatically know she did wrong. She needs to think that what she thinks is true and right, and that she needs to be calmed down from that instead of just, feeling upset and then not anymore because she knows she's done wrong. Like, that doesn't work that way. That's not how humans work. So, improving the emotional escalation will be very beneficial to this chapter. Yeah. Okay, and then it goes into the flashback. Which is chapter 14, the star. Star means renewal and hope. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Chapter 15, in brackets 14. The star is renewal and hope, which is what this chapter is meant to demonstrate. It's a flashback to prove to Iris that she should have hope and trust in Merrin because, In this one I only said to describe the forest more. Oh, actually I said two things. Describe the forest more, the setting, because I am going to have a whole editing revision about scene setting, but I'm just going to write here. And another thing is character voice, because in this chapter is the only chapter where I switch narrators. This chapter is actually read, or written or said by Marin, who is the second main character. And this is the only chapter they have that they narrate because Iris is not present in the scene, it's a flashback. So I need to work on character voice because I didn't really play into that much when I was writing this in the first draft. I didn't really have his thoughts or how he thinks or how he narrates in here. So that's what I need to improve on for this one, character voice. I do need to improve the character voice throughout the whole thing though, because it's best in chapter 1. And after that I need to really improve it. Yeah. I will get to that when I actually edit, but that's okay. Next chapter. Chapter 16 in brackets 15. She doesn't need to explain the money situation here because she already did that in the previous chapter. I guess I could do reiterate motivation. More to help her friend. Because her motivation changes over time to selfish things to wanting to help her friend. And by demonstrating that she does change her motivation in this chapter shows the development they've had in the last 15 chapters together. Which is good. looking at Clay's notes, she can identify them as Clay's because she looks at something handwritten by Clay in a previous chapter, and that only makes sense. Continuity is very important. This conversation is pretty good as well. Yeah, they talk it out, and it's nice and sweet. The Tower. Chapter 18 in brackets 17. Wait. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oops, wrong one. I skipped a chapter by accident. This chapter also is pretty well done. No plot changes in this chapter. I'm glad to find that most of them are minor ones and there's only a few sections, like 1 or 2 chapters, where I'm adding a whole chapter and adding a few scenes. Which is good. But no plot changes in this chapter because I think it's well done. Chapter 18. Which is meant to be 17. Also has no plot changes. And that's chapter 2 done. Not chapter 2, Act 2. Time to go to Act 3. What changes do these chapters require? I'm seeing that the main issue I'm having with these end chapters is that I just need more description and character voice instead of actual plot changes, which is a good thing because I accidentally moved my layout again, oops. Because I don't want to be editing a lot of plot. It's a lot of work. It's like patchwork, puzzle work, filling in the gaps. So this is chapter 19, which is also in reality chapter 18 in the first draft. No plot changes. Let's go to chapter 20, which is 19. Okay, this one needs more dramatic, high stakes. And this is where something I previously wrote to be added in comes in here. High stakes, more fear of the Kami assassins, which she's heard other people talk about, and would affect her perception of her friends now. Which is basically the only plot change for this chapter. And also, funny thing, I love it when books have the title of the book in like writing. So right here in chapter 19, which is also going to be known as chapter 20 in the new draft, she says, "Tell me how it ends at the end." Wow, it all comes together. Pretty cool. Now we have chapter 20, which is also known as chapter 21 in the new draft. 21, which is 20. Yep, this one's good. No plot changes. Now we've got the second last chapter of the book. This one's good. This one's an emotional talk between Kalea and Iris, who are the two love interests, the lesbians of the book, and it's very sweet. They don't have an insta romance, but Iris does have a adoration for Kalea, and Iris kind of saved Kalea's life. So they have a moment, a night, like a bit of a night moment thingy together, where Kalea plays her song on the violin, and it's very sweet. And they talk about dreams and why Kalea ran away from her, because Mist, Marin, and Kalea were all nobles, but they had their reasons for leaving the noble life to pursue a life of adventuring. And because of that, Kalea has some experience and like thoughts to share with Iris, who is a businesswoman who plans to go home and just live her sad life and continue that, but not if Kalea, Marin, and Mist have something to say about that. No plot changes for this chapter though, because it's good. Last chapter. 1500 words. Chapter 23. Also known as 22 in the book. No plot changes. Because she's happy and I'm happy, and there's this random slash, so I'm going to delete that. And 2 words at the end. Cool. So let's talk about an hour and 15 minutes. An hour and 15 minutes, and I have my notes here. And I wrote hit the microphone. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 3.75 of a notebook pages. It's about almost 2 A4 pages of notes. It only took an hour and 15, which is good, because at this point I can actually start applying these changes to my writing. So let's go all the way back to the Ace of Wands, chapter 1. Well, this is a bit of the harder part because I actually have to read my writing. And wow. Get my highlighter out to actually know what chapter I am focusing on. Highlighter. Chapter 1. So let's read. Actually, I don't need to show this point where she has multiple decks, because why does she need multiple decks? She has one that she has a connection with. I need to reference something in chapter 6. Oops, I'm gonna reset my session count because I like to know how much I've written. Project targets, and I'm going to reset. There we go. Okay, let's see. Before she would... I've really lost what I was typing right here. So familiar. Familiar. Carpeted floor beneath her. Reading. The idea of finding someone like her needs to be planted in this chapter. Let's see how I can do that. Oh, just for something else to note. Second last chapter, she needs to ask about the mist-like feeling when shuffling cards. Because Kalea can answer this, but she does experience it quite a bit throughout the book whenever she's shuffling her cards. There's some foreshadowing I did in this chapter that I did not consider running into previously, running into later in the book. In chapter 14, Mist brings up the reading from the start of the book. There are mannerisms I can pick up from previous chapters I've written to apply to the characters, such as here, Iris puts a hand over her mouth like this. Or like this. Like, not to cover it really, but like she's thinking. And I didn't make that a habit or a mannerism of hers throughout the book, so I might do that. She places her hand over her mouth as she thinks really deeply into what the cards mean. Okay, bye Scarlet, thanks for joining. There we go. I've achieved all the top points that I wanted in chapter 1. I need to choose a new icon because I've double reviewed this chapter now, so I do? What can I do? Can we get a tick? Yeah, sure. It's a tick now. Alright. Let's see. Let's see what to do next. Next, Iris has a single mother. That is the first point. It is time to write that in. Accidentally wrote in too many siblings here. She only has one younger sister and two older brothers. says there's 2 viewers, so hello to the other viewer. I'm not sure who you are, but hello. Currently I'm going through my chapters and adding in a few plot points that I wrote down in my notebook that I need to edit in. Some of these are really simple, it's just changing some wording or adding a small thing, but some of them will add additional scenes and such. So basically, I can explain a bit about what you don't know. So let's see. There's two paths you can do for publishing. There is self-publishing and then there's traditional publishing. So self-publishing you kind of know about. You'd write the book, you'd edit it. Some people buy editors, like hire them to make it nice. They get like a cover designed, or like they make their own cover, and then they, like, for example, upload it to Amazon. And Amazon is a print-on-demand service, which means you don't have to go out to a printer and print a bunch of books and send them out yourself. You can just give the PDF file to Amazon and they will print a book every time someone buys it, and then they will send it out. And that's self-publishing. Self-publishing comes with the perks of being able to control your story creatively. So a publisher won't be able to tell you what changes to make, and you can do whatever you want for your cover, how you design the inside of the book, and you can get an author copy from Amazon before you publish. It has a watermark on it, but it will actually show you how the book would look and preview it. And then if you want to make any edits beforehand, or if you see any typos, you can do that before publishing. That also means you'd lack the support of a publisher, and you have to do much more marketing than you would if you had a publisher. On the other hand, there's traditional publishing, but it's a bit more competitive to get into. So for that one, you need an agent. And I want to traditionally publish this book because I've already self-published a poetry book before. Although I don't really share it very much because it was a book I wrote in dedication to a past partner of mine, and now I'm currently with another person, so it's like something in the past and I don't really think about it as much, but it does mean I have some self-publishing experience. And in this path, what basically I polish this as much as I can and go through beta readers. Self-publishers can go through beta readers, but basically it's really important that you do if you're traditionally publishing to actually see if you're hitting your target audience, get sensitivity readers if you're writing sensitive subjects. So for example, my main character is a lesbian. I don't identify as a lesbian, which means it'd be helpful for me to get someone who is to read my book to confirm I'm writing it correctly. Same with if you're writing a trans character and stuff like that, or if you're a white person writing a black character, or a white person writing an Asian character, or an Asian character writing a black character, Basically, get someone who has experience of a character you're writing, just so they can check it out and make sure you aren't slandering them or anything. Then comes the next bit, which is querying an agent. So for that, you'd need to do a bit of work. You need to write a synopsis, which is a page summary of your book, and that certain formatting. For example, the first time you mention each character, you have to capitalize them. You have to write a short description, then write out the entire book and what happens, which also helps with you working out your arcs. So if you look into synopsis writing, a page synopsis writing, it's helpful because you can use that as part of your editing to make sure you got your arcs right, and they actually finish and wrap up and have the ends tied. You also have to write a query letter, and query letters are suggested to be customized for each agent. You don't just copy paste it. For example, a cover letter when you apply for a job, you might copy paste that, you but for querying, you might want to put a bit more thought into it because it's your book, and you can't. I don't think you can re-query agents, but you can reapply for different jobs. Anyway, query letters, you include your comparative titles, what your book's about, and then a small bio at the end of your query letter saying for example, for me, my name is Quinn Andover, or my name is Quinton Lee, and I'm querying under the name of Quinn Andover, my pen name, because publishers and agents should know your legal name because they need to do contracts if you want to publish a book with them. So it's a legal thing, which means they need to know your name. I'm not sure how it works if you want to be anonymous. I haven't looked into that because it's not a concern of mine to be anonymous, but unless it's my pen name, but that's a different story. Legally, I'm happy to reveal my name. What else? Some agents have different submission criteria. So some might ask for the first 50 pages of your book. So that in that case, you'd need to really polish the first 50 pages and send it over. Or they'd ask for your first 3 chapters, or your first chapter, your first 2 chapters, or however much they handle as an agent. You can find that like on their websites and all that. So you send like your synopsis, you send your chapters, you send your query letter, and then you wait. And it can take a while. But then if they like it, then they'll email you back and they'll be like, I want your full manuscript. I want a full request, which means not necessarily that they'll be your agent, but that they're pretty interested in your book, so they want to read the whole thing. And if you actually like hit a match with that agent, they'll email you back saying, well, I want to represent you as your literary agent, and I want to get this book published with you. From there, you would like sign a contract with them, and you'd be officially represented by them. And then from there, you need to do more processing and more querying, except this time you're going to publishers. But this time, it's more your agent doing the work, and you have to help your agent out. So you and your agent work together to contact different publishers to try and get your book published. I'm not sure how long that takes because I've never queried an agent before, actually. And I've never officially, I've never officially gotten an agent. So I know how it works. I've just never done it before. But that's an explanation since you said you weren't really sure how it works. But to actually answer your question properly, I want to publish this story traditionally as an actual book with a publisher and alongside an agent instead of